حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. جزاك الله خير. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله وأنه حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله. صلاة العشاء. الله أكبر الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع رزقي، وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي، فأجول في طلبه البلدان، فأنا فيما أنا طالب كالحيران. لا أدري أفي سهل هو أم في جبل، أم في أرض أم في السماء، أم في بر أم في بحر، وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من. وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك، وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآل محمد، واجعل يا رب رزقك لي واسعا، ومطلبه سهلا، ومأخذه قريبا، ولا تعنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي، وأنا فقير إلى رحمتك. فصل على محمد وآل محمد، وجد على عبدك بفضلك، إنك ذو فضل عظيم.
For Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Brothers and sisters, if you want to get comfortable, inshallah, we will have ziyarat after the program. At this time, I would like to invite Brother Michael for recitation of Holy Quran to start the program. With Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. As much as this is meant to be a happy occasion, it definitely falls at a time where there is some sadness in the community. So I please request that you recite Surah Al-Fatiha ma'a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو ويعلم ما في البر والبحر وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها ولا حبة في ظلمات الأرض ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا في كتاب مبين. وهو الذي يتوفاكم بالليل ويعلم ما جرحتم بالنهار ثم يبعثكم فيه ليقضى أجل مسمى ثم إليه مرجعكم ثم ينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. وهو القاهر فوق عباده ويرسل عليكم حفظة حتى إذا جاء أحدكم الموت توفته رسلنا وهم لا يفرطون. ثم ردوا إلى الله مولاهم الحق ثم ردوا إلى الله مولاهم الحق ألا له الحكم وهو أسرع الحاسبين. قل من ينجيكم من ظلمات البر والبحر تدعونه تضرعا وخفية لئن أنجانا من هذه لنكونن من الشاكرين. قل الله ينجيكم منها ومن كل كرب ثم أنتم تشركون. قل هو القادر على أن يبعث عليكم عذابا من فوقكم أو من تحت أرجلكم أو يلبسكم شيعا ويذيق بعضكم بأس بعض. انظر كيف نصرف الآيات لعلهم يفقهون. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. And for the translation, this is a set of verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paraphrases His knowledge paraphrases his power upon us or above all things, in which he says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with him, that is Allah, with him are the keys of the unseen. No one knows them except him. And he knows what is in the land and the sea. Not even a leaf falls without his knowledge, nor a grain in the darkness of the earth, or anything, green or dry, but it is written in a perfect record. He is the one who calls back your souls by night and knows what you do by day. Then he revives you daily to complete your appointed term. To him is your ultimate return. Then he will inform you of what you used to do. He reigns supreme over all his creation and sends recording angels watching over you. And when death comes to any of you, our angels take their soul, never neglecting this duty. Then they are all returned to Allah, their true master, and judgment is his alone, and he is the swiftest reckoner. Say, O Prophet, who rescues you from the darkest times on land and at sea? He alone you call upon with humility, openly and secretly. He alone you call upon with humility, openly and secretly. If you rescue us from this, we will be ever grateful. Say only Allah rescues you from this and any other distress, yet you associate others with him in worship. Say, he alone has the power to unleash upon you a torment from above or below, or split you into conflicting factions and make you taste the violence of one another. See how we vary the signs, so perhaps they will comprehend. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah khair. Brother Michael, one more last salawat for him. At this time, I'd like to invite Scouts 1499 boys Ahmad Raza, Abbas Rizvi, Ali Hasnan Naqvi, Ali Waris, Muhammad Ali, Ayan Ali, Shahzeb Abdi, and Zen Hassan for recitation of poetry with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ale Muhammad.
First row is okay. Chorus going in the back. Chorus going in the back. I'm technically. Yeah, but you're not. So you're gonna go. Chorus in the back. It's not you first.
Well, yeah, we are. We're all doing it together, like the chorus lines. That's the thing. Wait, let me get in the middle. So you guys, all right, you all just try to lean into the mic, okay? I'm gonna put this in front.
I'll adjust the camera. Let's get into formation.
يا حجة الله شكوانا إليك يا حجة الله شكوانا إليك أدركنا لبيك لبيك أدركنا لبيك لبيك يا إمام أزرحم बेदार है आपकी नजरत को हम तैयार है
جرى علينا الزمان يا مولا
يا مهدي
نهتف يا ابن الحسن يا مولا
يا مهدي
بقية الله شكوانا إليك بقية الله شكوانا إليك أدركنا لبيك لبيك
يا حجة الله شكوانا إليك يا حجة الله شكوانا إليك أدركنا لبيك لبيك أدركنا لبيك لبيك يا إمام أزر हम बेदार है आपकी नजरत को हम तैयार है हाथ में अपने कलम है और किताब या महदी इल्म की ताकत
آنکھ میں ہے نصرت مولا کا خواب، آنکھ میں ہے نصرت مولا کا خواب، آنکھ آپ کے ہم طالب دیدار ہیں، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک یا
حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، یا امام عذر ہم بیدار ہے، آپ کی نصرت کو ہم تیار ہے،
ساتھ ہے ہر وقت زہرا کی دعا،
یا مہدی
ہاتھ یہ تھام غازی کے وفا،
یا مہدی
عزم سے کر دیں گے ظالم کو فنا، عزم سے کر دیں گے ظالم کو فنا، روزے زینب کے ہم زوار ہیں، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک
یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، یا امام عذر ہم بیدار ہیں، آپ کی نصرت کو ہم تیار ہیں،
میرے مولا آپ پر لاکھوں سلام،
یا مہدی
آپ کی نصرت کو حاضر ہیں غلام،
یا مہدی
ہم سپاہی آپ کے ہیں یا امام، ہم سپاہی آپ کے ہیں یا امام، آج کی میسم ہے ہم مختار ہیں، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک
یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، یا امام عذر ہم بیدار ہیں، آپ کی نصرت کو ہم تیار ہیں،
جرى علينا الزمان يا مولا،
یا مہدی
نهتف يا ابن الحسن يا مولا،
یا مہدی
باقية الله شكونا إليك، باقية الله شكونا إليك، أدركنا أدركنا لبيك لبيك
یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، یا حجت اللہ شکوانا الیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، ادرکنا ادرکنا لبیک لبیک، یا امام عذر ہم بیدار ہیں، آپ کی نصرت کو ہم تیار ہیں، یا مہدی صلوات
Oh my God, what happened there? Why was no one saying it? I had to do it, bro.
Thank you, Scouts 1499. One more loud salawat, please. At this time, I'd like to invite brothers Mahdi, Hadi, and Raza Kisalbash for recitation of poetry with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
سر کوی بلند فریاد کردم، سر کوی بلند فریاد کردم، علی شیر خدا را یاد کردم، علی شیر خدا را یاد کردم، علی شیر خدا یا شاه مردان دل ناشاد ما را شاد کردم دل ناشاد ما را شاد کردم یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 جناب قنبر و عمار و میسم زبان عشق سے کہتے تھے ہر دم علی نام خدا ہے اسم اعظم اسی کے ہاتھ میں ہے نظم عالم جدھر جائے نظر ہے ایک منظر زمین و آسمان کہتے ہیں مل کر یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 علی ہے قوت رب مردان نبی کے شہر کا در کل ایمان علی قرآن میں سورہ رحمان علی میدان میں ہے شہر یزدان کبھی بدر و حیدر کبھی خیبر ہر ایک میدان میں حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 ظہور مہدی آخر کب ہوگا ہمارے سامنے ہوگا وجہ اللہ وہی آنکھیں وہی لے جاؤ چہرہ کہ جیسے گئے ہے در دوبارہ امام وقت کا ہوگا یہ جلوہ جو دیکھے گا انہیں بولے گا مولا یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر 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 حیدر
Jazakallah khair. One more loud salawat for the brothers. At this time, I'd like to invite Brother Hassan Abbas Kanani for recitation of poetry with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. Mubarak to you all on the celebration of the birth anniversary of Imam Zamana. Bawaz bulantar salawat. بار دیگر بآواز بلندتر صلوات. ایک منقبت کے چند اشعار پیش ہیں. کہو یا مہدی 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 کہو یا مہدی. یہ ساری کائنات ہے قائم امام سے. یہ ساری کائنات ہے قائم امام سے. باقی خدا کا نام ہے مہدی کے نام سے. کہو یا مہدی
ایک پل کو سوچئے نہ اگر ہو شہ زماں، بادل رہے نہ ابر نہ برسات کا نشاں، پس جائے کائنات پہاڑوں کے درمیاں، دھرتی کے سر پہ آن گرے پل میں آسماں، ان سارے حادثات زمانہ کے سامنے دیوار کھینچ رکھی ہے میرے امام نے، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی۔ سورج کو سارے راستے بتاتا ہے خود امام، مشرق ہے یہ یہاں سے نکلنا ہے تیرا کام، تھک جائے گئے سفر میں تو پھر بھی ہے ایک مقام، مغرب ہے میرے قدموں میں کرنا یہی قیام، کہہ دے یہاں سے وہاں سے نکلتا ہے آفتاب، مہدی سے پوچھ پوچھ کے چلتا ہے آفتاب، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی۔ وہ ہے تو کائنات ہے، وہ ہے تو زندگی، وہ ہے تو یہ نماز ہے، وہ ہے تو بندگی، وہ ہے تو آ رہی ہے صدا یا حسین کی، وہ ہے تو ہو رہا ہے جہاں میں علی 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 یا علی، وہ ہے تو ہو رہا ہے جہاں میں علی علی، تو اب جو خلاف ذکر علی لب ہلائے گا، دنیا سے بے حساب جہنم میں جائے گا، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی۔ راز مقطعات کا ہم راز آئے گا، قرآن علی کا لکھا ہوا ساتھ لائے گا، شان نزول آیتوں کی خود بتائے گا، مکی سے مکی مدنی سے مدنی ملائے گا، فر صحیفہ بولے گا اس کی جناب میں، وہ جان ڈال دے گا خدا کی کتاب میں، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی۔ تنظیم روزدار کا ناظم جب آئے گا، تبدیلیاں بشر کی وہ فطرت میں لائے گا، دنیا کو اپنا حق تصرف دکھائے گا، انسان پھر اپنی سوچ سے بھی آگے جائے گا، خیرات میں امام سے پائے گا معجزات، مٹی کا آدمی بھی دکھائے گا معجزات، کہو یا مہدی، کہو یا مہدی۔ یوں آس ہے ظہور کی دل کے دیار میں، اکبر جو موت آ بھی گئی انتظار میں، پھر بھی تڑپ رہے گی دل بے قرار میں، ہم منتظر رہیں گے ہمیشہ مزار میں، اور دے گا صدائے جب بھی ہمیں وقت کا حسین، قبروں سے ہم پکاریں گے لبیک 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 یا حسین، لبیک یا حسین۔ پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔ محمد و آل
Jazakallah khair, Brother Hassan Abbas Kanani. One more loud salawat for him, please. Respected Sheikh, elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Congratulations to all the Mu'mineen on the birth of our Savior, the 12th Imam, Imam Muhammad Mahdi alayhi salam. Allahumma. Before I invite Sheikh Amin to the member, just a few reminders. First, there will be a short quiz from Sheikh Amin's speech tonight after the speech, followed by Niyaz, and then Amal for the night of the birth of the 12th Imam, led by Sheikh Mahdi at 9:30 p.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, March 8th, we have a celebration here at CFK in collaboration with Anjuman Sher Khuda for the birth celebration of the 12th Imam with local reciters. A reminder to everyone that our objective here at CFK is to serve all of our guests adequately while being morally responsible by minimizing wastage. We thank you for doing your part in helping us achieving this objective by pre-registering using the links present on our WhatsApp and email announcements. A reminder for sponsorship, we do require your help to maintain our tradition of no active fundraising. Please consider sponsoring nights like tonight for the upcoming Shaban and Ramadan programs. We also request you to consider becoming sustaining members with recurring monthly contributions. Sponsorship slots are available online and updated every week at cfkdfw.org. As always, event details are posted on our webpage and our WhatsApp group. On our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, find the QR code to join our WhatsApp group, and donate and sponsor nights. For opportunities to help behind the scenes, or if you have any questions, please speak to myself or any of the volunteers. Before I request a sheikh to ascend the member, I would like to request that we recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of tonight's program sponsors, marhumin of Brother Mahmoud Maklai and Sister Farhana Aziz, the marhumin of the Kanani family, and of course, with the sad news from earlier, the recitation for marhum Sayyid Iqbal Hussain Rizvi, son of Badrul Hussain Rizvi, who passed away today. His burial will be tomorrow at 3:30 in Houston. And also for marhum Murtaza Rizvi, son of Brother Habib Rizvi, who also passed away today, whose burial details will follow. Let us also include our marhumin and the marhumat of the Muslim Ummah. I would, with the Fatiha and allow salawat. Before I invite Sheikh, just a reminder to everyone in the general audience on brothers and sisters side, if we could please keep the volume low as to not disturb the Sheikh's speech, and also request the brothers and sisters to move as close to the member as possible. With that, I would like to invite Sheikh Amin Rastani to ascend the member and address us tonight with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. First of all, my congratulations on this very auspicious night. May Allah bless all the brothers and sisters. You can hear me, right? You can hear me in the back? I feel like I can. Okay, we're good? All right. On this night, where we remember Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam, I thought it would be good to, as usual, go back to the basics. Now, before we get into our topic, I want to share a story with you. You've probably heard here and there, and maybe even you've heard from me before. But those of you who haven't, I want you to pay attention to it. And from that, we want to draw some conclusions and then get into our topic. I'll go as fast as I can with this story. Now, this story is a famous one because it's mentioned a lot here and there. Even if you Google it, you'll find it. I recently saw that they made clips out of it too, in English. But this was a story you would hear in the past. It's there in the books as well. That's why I'm going to share it with you. And it has to do with our 12th Imam. Now, the story goes like this. That there was this scholar that really, really was yearning to see Sahib al-Zaman. We've spoken about this in previous years on this occasion, that if seeing the Imam was one of those objectives and priorities, the Imams themselves would have told us that this is an objective and priority. So from the get-go, we have to understand that this is not a goal as a Shia, as a Muslim, necessarily. And that's what I want to get to. What is the goal then? That's where we're going back to some basics. But anyway, this individual really, really was yearning to see Sahib al-Zaman. And so he really starts going hard on himself, ibadah, worship, and doing dua and all of this. It's not working, going and resorting to the occult sciences even. And ilm al-jafr, they say, and ilm al-a'dad, and these sciences to figure out where Sahib al-Zaman is. Okay? So he really goes all out. Eventually, as a result of doing all of this worship, he doesn't see Sahib al-Zaman, but he gains a little bit of luminosity, and it reaches a point where he figures out which city Imam Zaman is in, and he has to go there and see the Imam. Okay? Now, when he goes there, he begins a challa, they call it, a 40-day devotion period of just sheer worship and ibadah and dhikr and all of that, so that the time comes so that he can see the Imam. Long story short, eventually on the 37th, 38th day, they say, he is able to see the Imam. Where? He has to go somewhere to see him. Once again, I'm not the type of person to share a lot of stories, because lots of times it's not very reliable. This one, because it's very, very famous, and you've heard it from different people and different scholars, and you read it in the books, that's why I'm sharing it with you. But I want to draw a conclusion from it. That's the more important part, okay? So this individual eventually is told to go to the bazaar and marketplace of the locksmiths, where they build locks, okay? And there it says that he eventually saw the 12th Imam sitting with somebody. Before he can drop to his knees, kiss the feet of the Imam, tell him how much he loves him, and all of that, the Imam gestures to him like, quiet, you don't say anything. Just sit and watch. No pun intended. It was the locksmiths and it was the place where they made clocks, excuse me. Or locks, sorry, yeah, locksmith. All right, sit down and watch. Don't say anything. Who is the Imam sitting with? The Imam is sitting with an old man who has a little shop there and sells locks. And so, as they're sitting there, this old lady comes in with a lock. And she says to the shop owner, she says to that old man, hey, I want to sell this lock, I need some money. Take it from me for, let's say $3. Let's just say, okay? $3. Now this old man, which by the way, apparently he didn't even know the person with him is Sahib al-Zaman, by the way. He says to this lady, he says, Auntie, mother, this lock that you want to give me for $3 is not broken. This lock is worth $8, not $3. I can't rip you off like this, even though you want it yourself, and only give you $3 for it. But I'm telling you, if you fix the key for this lock that you've lost the key of, if you fix it, it's going to be even worth $10. I'm letting you know. She's like, look, I just need the money right now. Give me $3 for it. If you're good with it, I'm good with it. I need to go. Some say that she had to take care of her ill son. The guy says, no. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be fair with you. I'm going to give you a little bit less than what it's worth, so that when I sell it, because at the end of the day, I have a business here. I have a shop that I have to maintain. In order to make some profit, I'm going to buy it from you for a little bit less so I can sell it for a little bit more. But at the same time, I'm not going to buy it from you for $3. I'll give you like $6 or $7 for it if it's worth 8 or 10 bucks. If I buy it from you, I can make a key for it, work on it a little bit. It'll be worth $10, and I can sell it for 10. I've bought it from you for 7. I make my 3, and at the same time, I haven't given you less or much less than what it's worth for you. Now, mind you, brothers and sisters, when you're doing business like this, it's not haram, okay, for you to give less if that person's okay with it. It's not haram. If someone comes up to you and wants to sell you something that's worth $100 for 20 bucks, it's okay to buy that. It's perfectly fine. But this individual is looking at this circumstance, looking at the situation of this old lady who needs money, and is selling something for much less because she's in dire need of it. Here, in this situation, he says, I'm going to give you a little bit less than what it's actually worth because look, we have to live our life too, and I have a shop to maintain. But I'm not going to give you so much less than it's worth. Now, this old lady, what more could she ask for? She came in with the expectation of $3, or let's say 30 or 300. She got 800 or 700 and went back. Okay? Everyone's happy here. She's happy. The locksmith is going to make some money. Now, the Imam, it says, turns to this individual and says to this individual that had found, quote unquote, the Imam and finally seen the Imam, he turns, and this is the important part of the story. Even if, let's just assume the story's made up, okay? But this is the important part of the story, the conclusion that the Imam is drawing here, which is in line with our teachings from the Quran and Ahlul Bayt. What is that conclusion he draws? He says, hey, oh scholar who was trying to find me all this time and you eventually found me, did you see this? Did you watch what happened? Become like this so that we come to you. Why are you trying to fish me out, so to speak? Find me, isolate me, pinpoint where I am so that you can see me. Well, what's going to happen after that? Did you all of a sudden become a better person necessarily? No. You do what you need to do, and then we will come to you. You don't have to sit there for 40 days and do certain worship and then go and resort to occult sciences. No, look at this, sound, solid amal and deeds that me and you already know. We already know what these deeds are, brothers and sisters. It's not rocket science. It's not something hidden from us. Be a solid Muslim. That's like the whole lesson for tonight. Let us just be solid Muslims so the 12th Imam is happy with us. I mean, sometimes we might sound like we don't care if God cares, but at least the Imam is we say, okay, the Imam likes me at least, then Allah is gonna like me too. If that's what's gonna work for us, then so be it. The Imam says in this account, he says, have sound actions, be Muslims. It reminds me of a story. One of these scholars had gone to the West years ago, maybe 100 years ago, and then it's a famous saying of his. He says, in the West I saw Islam, but I didn't see Muslims. And then in Islamic lands, I see Muslims, I don't see Islam sometimes. That kind of thing. He says, be Muslim. Have sound and solid actions so that we can work with you, the Imam is saying. Like, in other words, you guys are not good enough for us to be able to work with you. You're not solid enough. You're not reliable enough as Muslims. One day I'm feeling it, one day I'm not. One day haram, one day not, and so on and so forth. This is what the Imam is saying to this person. He says, out of this whole city, I have chosen this one old man because he passed his tests. This is how religious he is. And this was the test that he just passed. He could have gone out. Now someone may say it wasn't haram. That's true. And we'll talk about that more later. But be a Muslim, to be a Muslim, means that we are aware of the teachings and we implement them in our lives to the point that it shows itself. Not that we're showing off, but it shows us this person, I can tell this person is a Muslim. Why? Because I can trust them. All right, so having said that and shared that story with you and the conclusion we drew from it, now I want to get into a list of items that the 12th Imam in one of the du'as that he has lists for us as a checklist of this is what my people look like. And the reason why I'm saying that he says this is what my people look like is how the du'a begins. Now this is a du'a in the beginning of Mafatihul Janan. And it is ascribed to the 12th Imam. And it is a dua that we recite on the nights of Qadr a lot of times as well. And I really like this dua because, once again, it's about the basics. But it really illustrates that this is the community of the 12th Imam, what it looks like. Why? Because of the pronoun the Imam uses when the dua begins. It begins with Allahumma rzuqna, and it goes on. Oh Allah, give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually in the dua is Allahumma inni as'aluka. I ask you. There's no talk of us. Here, the Imam, when he's doing this dua that we recite in the nights of Qadr in Ramadan, he is using the pronoun of us. Hey, we're all one big team, we're all one big family and community. Oh Allah, if this is us as a community, grant us these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then here I am trying to figure out what can make the Imam happy. Or in the case of this scholar, trying to pinpoint where the Imam is. Don't worry about that part. They didn't tell us to do that. If they had told us to do that, 1400 years ago, you would have hadith that says, Ya ma'ashir al-Shi'a, O Shi'a, make sure that you find Imam Zaman on Google Maps when the app comes. Okay? Something like that. You don't find anything. Try your best to see the Imam. No, all you have is pray for the Imam, keep the Imam happy with your deeds and so on. That's all we have. Yet we are trying to figure out a way, a special way. There is no special way. Just like there's no special way to get in shape except you clean up your diet and maybe probably you have to exercise. There's no other way. Alright? It's that simple, but it might get boring sometimes. It's fine. That's what we're here for. Talk about these things, inshallah. Alright. So with that, I want to begin. Recite a salawat, please. It's the famous dua that says, Allahumma rzuqna. 1. Tawfiq al-ta'ah wa bu'd al-ma'siyah wa sidq al-niyyah wa irfan al-hurmah wa akrimna bil-huda wal-istiqamah wa saddid al-sinatana bil-sawabi wal-hikmah wa amla' qulubana bil-ilmi wal-ma'rifah wa tahhir butunana min al-harami wal-shubha, all the way till the end. Let's go through this one by one. Let's see if we can get through all of them. Inshallah, if we can, then all the better. If not, then we'll do as much as we can. Although tonight is going to be a long night anyway. So inshallah, this is part of your a'mal. Take up some of Shaykh Mahdi's time. Why does he get the spotlight always? So the first item, of course, what do you expect? The first item on the list, the 12th Imam says, oh Allah, give us this community tawfiq. Bless us to have tawfiq al-ta'ah, obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, the first and most important thing on the list of the 12th Imam is the purpose of our creation. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The Quran says, I created you so you be proper, obedient servants of mine. That is my expectation. All the good stuff I want to give you can come only and only as a result of how obedient you are towards me. The Quran says. Very simple. So that's going to be the first item on Imam Zaman's list for sure. Tawfiq al-ta'ah. And we have that famous hadith. It's called the hadith of Qurb al-Nawafil, where it quotes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah says, مَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ عَبْدٌ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. That no servant of mine gets close to me by anything that I love more than that which I've made wajib on him or her. Like, what more could we ask for? If anyone asked me, hey, what's your secret formula to getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I say what He's made wajib and haram on me. Staying away from the haram, taking care of the wajib. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. You've heard me say this again and again. Why? Because the Quran and the Hadith say it again and again. There is no other way, brothers and sisters. So number one item on his list is tawfiq al-ta'a, obedience. وَبُعْدَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ. Number two, he says the flip side as well. Obedience of Allah, flip side, bu'd al-ma'siyah. Bu'd, what does bu'd mean? Bu'd, ba'id, means distance, to stay away, far away. When you say something's ba'id, it means it's far away, it's unlikely. Okay? The Imam didn't say, oh Allah, grant us tawfiq to be muti', to have ta'ah and obedience only. He says, and at the same time, I want to be far, far away from disobedience of you. Bu'd al-ma'siyah. Why? Let me share some hadiths with you. For example, أَخُوكَ دِينُكَ فَاحْتَتْ لِدِينِكَ. Your deen is your brother. Just like how you care so much for your brother, your sister, your sibling. How much you take care of them. How much do you make sure that they stay away from any harm and keep harm away from them and ba'id from them? The hadith is saying, guess what? You have another brother or sister or sibling. What is that? One that you do ihtiyat for and you're very careful about. You don't put yourself in a situation where it will be compromised. You won't walk on the edge. Huh? What is that? Akhuka dinuk, your deen and religion. So I'm not going to walk on the edge either. Bu'ud, I'm going to stay far away. Why? Because sin, disobedience, although in this day and age, something very normal, and there's absolutely no problem whatsoever if someone commits sin. But if you look at the literature that we have, sin is very dangerous. It says, إِنَّ الرَّجُلْ يُذْنِبُ الذَّنْبَ فَيُحْرَمُ صَلَاةَ اللَّيْلِ. That a person commits sin, all of a sudden another good thing that they wanted to do, they're deprived of it. We have to earn the right to be able to do good deeds. How do I earn the right to do good deeds? By staying away from the bad ones. It says a person commits sin, before you know it, they're deprived of Salatul Layl. And this is the important part now here. It says, وَإِنَّ الْعَمَلَ السَّيِّئِ أَسْرَعُ فِي صَاحِبِهِ مِنَ السِّكِينَ فِي اللَّحْمِ. The effect of sin in an individual is greater than and quicker and speedier than the effect of knife on meat. When you put that knife on that meat and you pull, it slices through, right? Sin is slicing through one's iman. And then here I am saying, oh, one night isn't going to be 1,000 nights. Oh, it's okay, God forgives and all of that. Yes, but things add up. If I keep sinning, Allah forgives. But the iman that I have slowly weakens and weakens and weakens. Why? Because I'm telling myself practically, I'm more important than Allah. These things accumulate. And before you know it, the guy makes the biggest, dumbest mistake as a result of what? A weak iman that was cut through with what? With the knife of sin. So sin is like a knife that cuts through one's iman. Just like a knife cuts through meat. So what are we going to do? We're going to try our best to stay up this kind of outlook on things, on sin. Oh Allah, grant us distance from it, far, far away. Where is sin? Here it is. So where is he or she? Far somewhere else. Far in a far off land. وَصِدْقَ النِّيَّةِ, a truthful niyyah and intention. I really like this, a combination of sidq al-niyyah. Yes, we have ikhlas. Ikhlas is always good. To have a very pure intention. But this sidq al-niyyah is beautiful. Why? Because it seems like it's a little bit more than just, oh, I'm going to do this for Allah, which is also great. But remember, that old man could have bought that lock for $3. He chose not to. He chose not to. Why? Because it was the better thing to do. A community of Sahaba Zaman has sidq al-niyyah. Sidq al-niyyah, we're not going to lie to ourselves when we're doing certain things and we have an intention for doing them. Now the worst of those intentions, that is the most untruthful of them, is if I do it just to show off, of course. We don't even need to talk about that. When I do something out of riya', so that others can see me, because I feel good about it when others see me. Look, this is not going to translate to anything in dunya or akhirah for us. And here I am wasting my time doing things that others do. Sidq al-niyyah, I think, is more than just that. Sidq al-niyyah means, even when you're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the sense that you're not doing it for others, but it's not a bad idea, once you're a little more spiritual, for us to look and revisit why we're doing something. I'll give you an example. For example, if I'm sitting up here lecturing, trust me, I've been doing this for many years. I'm not after anyone's praise or anything. Although, if you want to come up to me afterwards and tell me how good a job I did, I'm fine with that. But all in all, if I'm sitting up here, I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes I might catch myself thinking that, hey, it's not a bad idea to research this topic and lecture about it. And because of that, I'm going to grow personally and in my knowledge of this topic more. No, even that, I shouldn't idolize that even. Sidq al-niyyah means, oh Allah, it's all about you. It's all about you. Even if there's something good in it for me, and I don't even care what the others think of me, and I'm not even doing riya', still, in Farsi we say there's a little bit of khurd shisha in there, a little bit of little glass, a little broken glass in there that you can find. You need to remove that as well. Okay? Sidq an-niyya, this person who bought that lock at like $6-7 when they could have bought it at $3, this person, I would say, has sidqun niyya. No one's going to find out. He doesn't know this is the 12th Imam next to him even. He doesn't. This is just someone, a Sayyid Mahdi, that visits me once a week. Because in that, I didn't read all of it. The Imam in that same story that I shared with you, he says, I visit him every week. Wow. This person, this old man, doesn't know that this is the 12th Imam. And he just, some random guy has walked in, and he's sitting there, okay, asking how I'm doing. That's about it. This person, the only reason why they're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. I'm not going to gain anything out of this. Allah, 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 brothers and sisters. Sidqun niyya, to fix that niyya. Alright, let's move on. Irfan wa irfan al-hurma, a community of the 12th Imam who wants bu'dul ma'siyah, to have distance from ma'siyah. How do I know what ma'siyah is? I have to have a little bit of an understanding of what's going on out there. Irfan al-hurma, irfan here kind of means knowledge of, to know what is the haram out there. So this idea of ignorance is bliss doesn't hold in the book of Islam. It doesn't. To the point that we have hadiths that on the day of judgment people say, oh Allah, I don't know, I didn't know this. I didn't know this and that. Well, right away the angels, they're not dumb. They're going to say, هَلَّا تَعَلَّمْتَ, why didn't you learn? I've given this example before. The cop stops you, you pass a red light. The cop stops in the middle of the night, 2, 3 a.m., you pass the red light. The cop pulls you over, says, sir, do you know what you did? Yeah, I know, I was just driving. No, you passed a red light. I didn't know you're not supposed to pass red lights. That cop is going to be rolling on the floor laughing at you. What do you mean? If you have a driver's license, that means that you have, or if you're driving on the street, that means that the assumption is you know. And if you didn't know, you should have looked into it, because when you drive, not everyone's allowed to drive. If you're given permission to drive, it means there's something special about you that others don't have. You have a knowledge of what you're supposed to do on the road versus what you're not supposed to do. Until you buy a Tesla and it does it automatically for you. Okay? Not a lot of people laughed. It shows our community members don't have it. We have a Zahid community, mashallah. Alright, so Irfan al-Hurma, ignorance in the day of judgment, or on the day of judgment, is not going to be bliss. We can't be like, yeah, I know there's harmful foods out there for me, but I'm going to just give benefit of the doubt to the food industry out here, which, trust me, don't do that. And I'm not going to read ingredient labels at all. Nutrition labels, I'm not going to read them to know what kind of oil is used in here, what kind of sugar is used in this, and all of that. I know there's something harmful out there. If you know something harmful is out there, you're going to read up on it and figure it out. For God's sake, in my age, right, I am less strict about things versus even the 20-year-olds in this day and age. Back in our day, you would eat whatever it was. If you could afford it, you ate it. Nowadays, these kids, the 15-year-olds even, they're like, Mulana, look, these oils, they are inflammatory. We can't have this. I'm like, brother. And I'm good. I'm happy for them, actually. That's good. This is a good thing. Yes, if there's something harmful out there, you're going to learn what it is. Irfan al-Hurma, the Imam puts his finger on this, although we should have understood it on our own, that if I want to stay away from haram and have bu'd al-ma'siyah, that I have to know what ma'siyah is, what haram is. Now, two things. One, some people say, well, how am I supposed to know the haram? I read the Quran and all that. How am I supposed to know what the harams are? No. Have we heard of this idea of marja taqlid? That's where we go. I mean, if someone has access to the 12th Imam and asks him directly haram and halal, that's fine. But in our case, usually, we don't have access. And so, what's the next in line? Those who have read the hadith, the Quran, have done all the work. We ask them. It's very simple. But this question actually comes up. How are we supposed to know what's haram out there? Well, bismillah, like the marajah, that's what they do. They tell you what's haram, what's not haram, what's halal, what's haram, and so on. There are others that say, no, we know what's haram. We know the rules. We apply them. Turns out, let's say, the meat that I just had, that I had gone through the proper means to establish that it is zabiha, turns out it was actually haram. This is the irfan al-hurma that it's talking about? No, because the same marja taqlid, based on what the Imams have taught us, has said, look, if you do your due diligence in different fields of Islamic law, And it turns out that in reality it was haram, but you did what you did, and you were allowed to consume what you consumed, then it's halal on you. So irfan al-hurma doesn't mean have ilm al-ghayb of everything that's haram out there. And in order to make sure that you don't ever fall into haram, that you have to stay away and do ihtiyat and everything out there. What are you having for breakfast? Water. Lunch, water. Dinner, fried water. But it's water because everything else might be haram out there. No. Might be haram if it's something that might be haram in reality, but you've done your due diligence and the marja says this is how you have to do your due diligence, you do it. This doesn't fall under the category of haram. So, learning the rules of haram and halal from the marja, but applying those rules and identifying each case, that's our discretion. They've taught us the ways to do it, the marajit, we have to ask them. Once we do our due diligence, do things the way they've told us to do them, then here, irfan al-hurma doesn't mean have ilm al-ghayb. Yeah? How do I know that this bottle of water, something najis didn't fall in it? I don't have ilm al-ghayb, man. Pop it open for me. Alright? But some people know, it reaches a point, because of this, they misunderstand and they think that they have to go all out, they destroy their own lives, which is fine. But then they destroy others' lives, their families' lives. And then these people are running away from religion, while religion didn't even say all of that. Irfan al-hurma. وَأَكْرِمْنَا بِالْهُدَى وَالْإِسْتِقَامَةِ. Oh Allah, give us guidance and istiqamah. Guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me read that very famous verse. It says, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana lihada. On the day of judgment, when they enter paradise, it says, they say, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. That, oh Allah, thank you, all praises to you who guided us to this. Allah guides. And if it wasn't for your guidance, we would have never been guided to this Jannah. Yeah, the guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there are two things we need to keep in mind here, two conditions. Number one is that we have to strive to learn. It's not going to be easy for me to give up like a Saturday morning to go and learn about Islam if something is being offered somewhere that allows me to learn more about my faith. It's not going to be easy. I have to strive. But the Quran says, those who strive in our path, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. The ones who strive, they're the ones that we guide them to our ways. So that's something to keep in mind. So this idea of let me sit back while I'm playing my video games, Allah will reveal to me what's right and wrong and all of that. This doesn't work like that. Okay? Number one. Number two is that this hidayah, if it happens, it requires that istiqamah that the dua also says. Istiqamah means that you stay on that path and you are steadfast, and once again you cling to it and you don't let go. No matter how good you do in your diet, once you let go, you end up looking like me again. Okay? I know it's like, it was a joke because really I'm not in that bad shape, right? So if I let go, or if someone lets go, they end up, where they don't want to end up. Same thing with hidayah. Allah gives it to you. You go with it. But towards the end, if you give up on that straight path, you're done. You're cooked. You're toast. Because you're going to Jahannam, right? So we want to keep on that path as well. So the Imam says, oh Allah, give us the hidayah and istiqamah. And istiqamah. وَسَدِّدْ أَلْسِنَتَنَا بِالصَّوَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. What are we talking about again? We're talking about the community of the 12th Imam. Now, there are much more teachings of Islam than just these. But personally, I think if a person gets these right, inshallah, then a lot of the other stuff will come with it as well. All in all, you get this idea of, well, look, the Imam wants solid followers with the basics, but the proper, solid, sound amal that Islam has taught all of us that we all know. The cardio of the faith. That's something that's repetitive, but at the same time, it is the most guaranteed thing that we have. Saddid al-sinatana bis-sawabi wal-hikmah. Sawab means, let's say, truth in this context, okay? Oh Allah, grant us, when it comes to our tongues, sawab. Sawab not with a tha. The thawab that we talk about, rewards, that we say in Farsi or Urdu, we say sawab. No, sawab with a sad, which means truth. When you hit the bullseye, you've hit the sawab, they say. Okay? Oh Allah, when it comes to our tongues, give us sawab, truth, and hikmah. talk about this a little bit. Sawab, truth, doesn't necessarily mean, oh Allah, don't let us lie. That is one example of it. But is that the only example for this? I want to say no, not necessarily. Sometimes it's not a lie. Sometimes you have a doubt. Is this true? Is this not true? You say it. You spread something about someone. All of these things will also fall under the opposite of sawab. And to get control of this tongue, brothers and sisters, there are some, I'm not saying necessarily do this, but they will have a sort of a fast that they do. A fast that they do, which they don't talk too much. Not that they don't talk at all, but they don't talk too much until they gain control of this tongue. Okay? When this tongue gets out of control, it will say whatever without any accountability. It's just so easy just to say something. Once it's out the bag, you can't put it back in though. We all know that. Once the words come out, they can't go back in. And so we might end up messing up our lives and other people's lives. But before saying it, I can think about it. Some people, that's what they do. They go on a period of not talking too much. Not talking too much. What happens as a result is that I would say their hearts open up. The light starts coming out from these hearts even. To the point that, now when they go back to normal and they're speaking like everyone else, they're careful. They might slip up every now and then, but all in all, less haram comes out of this tongue of theirs. But having said that, sawab, one of the examples, as I said, is the lying aspect. Brothers and sisters, the lying part, let's not be the one, because I've seen this in these years of lecturing. Sometimes someone will say something to you. I can't control what people tell me. You hear here and there from different people. Someone is known for just not telling the truth all the time. And this lying comes back to haunt that person, humiliates that person. This is the hadith for this, that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, three words, al-kidhbu aybun fadih. Lying is a humiliating sin, because brothers and sisters, whether we like it or not, in the end, usually, when we don't tell the truth, it will come back to get us. And we will be proven as a liar to some people. It humiliates. There are some sins that won't humiliate. There are some that will. Here, Imam Ali, he says, look, there's one humiliating sin out there called lying. Be very careful about that. Someone will say, well, these are the basics. Exactly, these are the basics. I didn't say they're not. But Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam, according to that dua, he is making this dua. Al-Saddid al-Sinatana bis-sawabi wal-hikmah. Once we take care of that sawab part, where what's coming out of this mouth and tongue is haqq, slowly, and we're controlling the things that we say. Sometimes you even joke around with your friend. I say this all the time. You prank your friend. If your friend's not happy with that, it's haram. Once we start doing that, once we're more careful of what we say, then I think this next one comes, al-hikmah. Then, since I'm careful that only truth comes out of this mouth and this tongue, it will turn slowly, inshallah, to hikmah. The more I'm listening now, the more I'm observing, the more I'm reflecting. Yeah? And that's where, instead of it being something this tongue humiliating me because of the lies, it becomes the opposite. And it shows people my true value without me even trying. Not me trying to show off or anything, just this person. There are some people out there, have you met those people other than me? That when they speak, you can tell this person is a wonderful person just because they speak. We have hadith for this as well. That al-mar'u makhbu'un tahta lisane. A person is hidden behind their tongue. In other words, let them talk, then you can tell. There have been cases where you're sitting and you're looking at somebody like, man, this guy must be something special. But then they start talking, you're like, bro, I don't want to talk to this person anymore. This person has no clue what they're saying. Makhbu'un tahta lisane, or al-lisan mizanul insan. The tongue is the scale and measuring stick for people. If you want to know what a person's all about, let them talk a little bit. In due time, you'll figure out what kind of person they are. سدد ألسنتنا بالصواب والحكمة واملأ قلوبنا بالعلم والمعرفة. Oh Allah, fill our hearts with ilm and ma'rifah. Ilm, we've talked a lot about it in the past. I don't need to talk about it too much. Fill, though, it says, imla qulubana. Fill our hearts. So is there any threshold when it comes to learning knowledge? No. And of course, in these contexts, usually what is meant by knowledge is knowledge of the religion. Alhamdulillah, 20, 30 years, brothers and sisters have been going to majalis and programs and lectures. Hopefully it's had an impact on us practically. Yeah? And we need to move towards more efficiency, inshallah. But all in all, you can't get enough. Ayatollah Jawadi Amali, he says, a Hawza student will never graduate from their studies, because the more you learn that you don't know and you want to learn more. Okay? It's just how it is. So, imla qulubana, fill our hearts with knowledge. Not just give us some knowledge. Now, a person who has knowledge, this knowledge, they continue to exercise it in their lives, slowly something else comes, which is called ma'rifah. You can build ma'rifah with the knowledge and the practice that you have. What's the difference between ilm and ma'rifah? Because we've heard both, right? We've heard ilm, we've heard ma'rifah. What's the difference between these two? One of the differences that usually they'll give you is this, that ilm, okay, is just knowledge. So for example, someone tells me how Kit Kat tastes. Sheikh, it's got the milk chocolate on the top and then there's these wafers. And then when you bite into it and it crunches and sings you this song of instant gratification. It's thanking you for having it. They will describe it to me. But trust me, no matter how much they describe it to me, yeah, it's different when I experience it. That is a ma'rifah of the Kit Kat. Once I'm given the Kit Kat. Alright? Now, the same thing when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will have knowledge of Him, knowledge of Him, knowledge of Him. But when does that knowledge turn into ma'rifah? Is when we experience Allah in one way or another. Now, but no, it's you actually, that thing that you have knowledge of now, you will have it and you will touch it, you will feel it, experience it. Not that we're going to touch Allah, but Allah touches us. Okay? This ma'rifah is what everyone is after. Ma'rifatullah. It only comes as a result of practicing what you learn and what you preach. طَهِّرْ بُطُونَنَا مِنَ الْحَرَامِ وَالشُّبْهَةِ. Now, we already talked about staying away from haram and sin and all of that. But the Imam isolates one of those harams from the rest. And the one that is the haram that enters our bellies and stomachs. Now, this doesn't just mean a haram McDonald's. Okay? Haram food that's non-dhabiha. That is one example of it. That Allah says, I want you to keep your stomachs pure of that. But there's other examples of it too. Our very religious individuals, our ulama, they were always very careful where their money comes from. There's a lot of haram that happens when it comes to our jobs. We have to be careful about that, because then, even if I buy a zabiha meat but with a haram money, or a money that the dues haven't been paid on, for example, I don't know, a money that came through haram means because of a job that I had that was haram. All of these things in normal circumstances, sometimes you have no choice, that's something to talk about. But in normal circumstances, this is an example of haram going into the belly of myself and my family. On the day of Ashura, we've all heard, the Imam tried again and again to get into the minds and hearts of these people that were against him. What happened? They made noise, they didn't listen to him, they cheered so that no one can hear him. Things like that happened. What did the Imam say? He said, as if there's no point. Why? These are people whose bellies have been filled with haram. And so we have to be careful about that as well. Imam Zaman has that expectation of us. Shubha, I don't want to get into right now. There's a haram shubha, there's a halal shubha. I'll give an example for each, I'm not going to explain too much. A haram shubha, that the Imam says, طَهِّرْ بُطُونَنَا مِنَ الْحَرَامِ وَالشُّبْهَةِ. Example, this is not a good example, but I'll just give it. I didn't steal anything from anyone, but like I see a property, something here, I don't know who it belongs to, maybe they're okay with me having it, maybe not. I open it up and I drink it. I have shubha. I'm not sure, can I have it? And I just go ahead and have it. These are haram ones. You have to make sure the person that owns this, although they're not there, is okay with me having it. But then there's some shubha that's halal for us. Once again, these are things that we have to go to our marajah for. For example, I have a shubha, a doubt. Well, is this something that has najasat in it? Or it looks like it's water, can I have it? This is a shubha too. This is a doubt as well. This is a doubtful drink for me right now. But the rule is, until proven najasat, it's okay for you to have it. So there's some halal shubha, there's haram shubha. The Imam here is saying, cleanse our bellies of the shubha. What he means probably is the haram shubhas. Alright. وَقْفُفْ أَيْدِيَنَا عَنِ الظُّلْمِ وَالسَّرِقَةِ. Oh Allah, hold our hands from dhulm, I don't need to explain that. Now, dhulm sometimes means that I hurt others, but hey, I want to say dhulm also can be me hurting myself when I'm committing sins. But what it seems to be meaning here is that, oh Allah, help me so I don't hurt others. Brothers and sisters, guys, younger guys, I've said this 2 minutes ago, I'll say it again. We have to understand what the rules are. Sometimes even playing a prank on your friend falls under dhulm if they're not okay with it. You're hurting them. You're hurting their feelings. It happens all the time. I see it. In camps especially. They'll steal someone's, I don't know, clothes when they're taking a shower. They'll throw a firecracker in the stall. These things, if scaring a mu'min is haram, like straight up. Oh no, but it's a prank. It'll show me a hadith that says, except for pranks. And I'll be okay with it. No, we don't have that. There's no exception made for prank. If I'm 100% sure my friend's okay with it, that's a different story. But lots of times, these are examples that fall probably under these categories of dhulm even sometimes. But yes, the greatest example for it is oppression and all of that. So Allah, I don't want to oppress anyone, and I don't want to steal. Hold my hand from stealing. Now someone might say, I don't steal at all. That's good. But there's other examples of this as well. Sometimes I assume a position when I'm not the one who is supposed to be in that position. Or I make sure that others don't take that position when I'm not deserving of it. This might fall under that category by a stretch, of course. It won't be referred to as sariqah, but all in all, it is also a form of taking something that doesn't belong to you. وَقْضُدْ أَبْصَارَنَا عَنِ الْفُجُورِ. Man, we have a lot more to go, so I'm going to slowly end, inshallah. وَقْضُدْ أَبْصَارَنَا عَنِ الْفُجُورِ وَالْخِيَانَةِ. Oh Allah, preserve my eyes from those things that are haram. Okay? Now, those things that are haram sometimes fall under fujur, sometimes they fall under khiyana. The Imam says both of them. Fujur has to do with the haram stuff that, everywhere you go now, the billboards, you know what I'm talking about. Right? Haram things like that. Oh Allah, I don't want, hold my eyes from falling. Now, sometimes you're walking in the street, you accidentally see something. That first time you see, okay, fine, but it wasn't in your hands, but don't look again. Right? Some people, they say this, you've heard the joke probably. They say, oh, the first look is okay, so they prolong the first look. No. What is meant is that first accidental look. So if the accidental look turns into and transforms to deliberate, then come on, who are we fooling here? Allah? Okay, so fujur, these things, and we have hadith that says, look, that look that is not supposed to happen when it comes to these matters, it is sahmun min siham iblis masmumun. It is a poisonous arrow that shaitan is shooting at you. If you're able to avoid this, man tarakaha lillahi azza wa jal la li ghayrihi, whoever turns away from looking at that which they're not supposed to look at, for the sake of Allah, look at this. أَعْقَبَهُ اللَّهُ إِيمَانًا يَجِدُ طَعْمَهُ. Allah will follow up with an iman and faith that He puts in the heart of this individual, that this person will taste the flavor of. Oh, this is big stuff. This is what we're talking about. When I talk about, this ma'rifah, this special extra stuff, this is a result of practice. Not just, I learned philosophy and I'm good now. No, practice as well. So that's one, keeping the eyes from that. But then it says khiyana, betrayal. Sometimes we look at things we're not supposed to look at, and it has nothing to do with like billboards. I'm using billboards as an example. Inshallah, you guys know what I'm talking about. But sometimes my friend's phone is open, and I take a look. You're not supposed to look at people's phones. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to. Sometimes, for example, let's say, and some people, they don't pay attention to this matter. Let's just say, for example, a respected sister who is hijabi, right? The hijab, the wind blows off her hijab, right? At that moment, since this is a respected sister that's hijabi, I can't just, look, even without bad intention. No, haram. Look away. I still remember in one of the mosques somewhere, someone walked in and apparently they didn't know they were not wearing hijab. Everyone was looking, like, you're not supposed to look, brothers, look away. I know they're older, they're not maybe very attractive, but still, this is one of those rules we have. This is a respected hijabi sister, you can't look at them. All right? This doesn't fall under fujur. Another example, I'm stalking somebody, see what they do in privacy. and all of that. No, haram. You close these eyes. You look away. Even if you see someone doing something, you give them benefit of the doubt. We all know how it works. Yeah? So, khiyana, even when it comes to looking, even if it's not those haram things, we have to be careful about that. Sahib al-Zaman is asking for this. Let me see if there's anything else here that I want to make sure to say before I end. I'll do this last one and then we shall end. وَتَفَضَّلْ وَاسْتُدْ أَسْمَاعَنَا عَنِ اللَّغْوِ وَالْغِيبَةِ. And O Allah, preserve our ears from lagw and ghiba. Sometimes there's vain talk. People get together for 3 hours, they talk about just nothing, absolutely nothing. You just wasted 3 hours of my time. Okay? It's okay to hang out, it's okay to talk about stuff, but if it reaches a point where it's lagw and it's vain talk, you're just wasting your life. Brothers and sisters, on the Day of Judgment, you'll see that 3 hours of vain talk doesn't equal 1 10-second time span of reciting salawat, for example, if you want to recite salawat. Yes, Surah Mu'minun, verse number 3. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. It's been listed as one of the signs of a believer, that those who stay away from vain, things that are vain, they turn away. Mu'ridun, turn away from it. What is lagh? What is vain? Something that's not going to help you in your dunya or your akhirah. Now that's not haram necessarily though. But then you have wal ghiba. Now I think the Imam put his finger on one of the more important ones, but one of the more important ones that have to do with the ears. But usually ghiba, backbiting, disclosing the flaws of others in their absence, is something that has to do with the tongue, right? But it seems that the Imam says, look, I already know, you all already know about that one, but I'm just reminding you that even the one who's listening to the ghiba is also problematic. You're not allowed to listen to, if someone comes up to you and says, you know what I saw someone doing today, I saw them doing this haram thing, you're like, brother, just stop right there, right? Now sometimes there will be exceptions to this rule, but trust me, what we do as people are not always exceptions, trust me. You can't make an exception for 90% of the cases. Exceptions are usually 5%, 6%, 3%. He says, oh Allah, I want one thing from you. Give us, protect our ears from these things, from ghiba. Okay? And the dua goes on. It talks about, oh Allah, when it comes to our elderly, give them waqar, give them sakina. Waqar means greatness, a greatness that makes you want to respect somebody. Sakina, tranquility. You know, it's like those movies you watch, or not movies, but like documentaries or National Geographic ones where that Baba lion is sitting there and the cubs are like jumping up and down, but the father is sitting there, he has his calm, he has waqar, this kind of thing. Our elderly, and then we have hadiths about respecting the elderly, even if they're not related to you, and so on. And then our youth, look at this, this is very nice. The youth, oh Allah, give them inaba and tawbah. Imam Zaman, I know you're going to make mistakes. It's as if the Imam is saying, oh Allah, give them inaba and tawbah. In other words, and this as parents, including myself, we have to remember this, that they're going to make mistakes. We have to make sure they have the backbone so that when the time comes, they turn back and come back to us or come back to the faith. But all in all, the Imam is as if he's acknowledging they will make mistakes. Oh Allah, give them tawbah and inaba. That's what matters to me. That even if they're going to leave this dunya, that they leave in a state of tawbah and inaba. And the dua goes on. Inshallah, those of you who want can take a look at that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us, through implementing these teachings, these solid, basic teachings, that Allah gives us the tawfiq to become those solid mu'mineen and muslimin. The ones that the Imam in that story said, these are the ones that we can work with. These are the ones that we can rely. These are the ones that we go to. They don't have to try to find us and come to us, inshallah ta'ala. On this night, inshallah, we'll keep everyone in our du'as, especially the brothers and sisters that are going to be going in a couple days for ziyarat. Inshallah, they go and come back safely, and they don't forget us in their du'as as well. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All right. So, where's our boss man here? So we have a couple questions to ask, huh? So remember, if those of you who paid attention in the beginning, Brother Zunair said that we're going to have some questions that I'll ask. Now, do we have prizes or not? Oh, we have prizes. Okay. What are the prizes? Huh? Amazon gift cards. For the Sheikh and the ones who answer these questions. All right. And I'm going to ask the younger ones, of course, because the older ones, they're my teachers. They already know all the answers. First question that I want to ask our audience is, I hope these questions aren't too hard. One of the hadiths compared sin to something. What was that thing? Oh man, he had his hand up first. Let me see what he says. Yeah. Huh? And what does that do? A knife cuts through? Huh? We'll take it, inshallah. Sin is like a knife that cuts through meat, not cuts through sin. Recite salawat. Not gonna lie, that was an easy question. But it shows that you were there from the beginning and you were listening. That's important. All right, this next one's a little harder, so I'm gonna probably ask the sisters because they're just better, you know? 2 conditions for guidance and hidayah. What were they? It said there are 2 things. Guidance comes from Allah, but it comes as a result of 2 things. Yeah? Do you remember what they were? Anyone? Okay. Oh, no sisters? Oh, we have a hand up. Who is it? Oh, that one. Okay. Yes, Khadija. The Quran and Ahlul Bayt, very close. What should we do now? Now I'm stuck. What to do? Wait, let me see. Okay, very good, Khadija. Let's see. Strive and istiqamah and steadfastness. Yes, recite salat for this young brother of ours, 35 years old. Huh? Oh, he's going to give his prize to Khadija. Did you even ask him? This is harami wa shubha. Sheikh, you came late to the lecture. This is one of those things, Imam Zaman. Okay, fine. You're the Sheikh. All right, thank you, little Khadija. And she's playing with her game. She doesn't know the great thing that just happened. Oh, Khadija has a lot to say. All right, next question. We had a hadith that said lying is what type of sin? Yeah. The green had him jumped up. You went up real quick. Yeah. Huh? Worse sin? There was something else. White? Humiliating. That's the word I was looking for. So, Raza, you tried. We're all winners, but only 5 Amazon cards. All right. Oh, this one. Let's go to the sisters again. Not Khadija, though. What was the difference between ma'rifah and ilm? Oh, yes, Imam. Very good. That's the word I was looking for. Ilm is just knowledge, but when you experience that which you have knowledge of, they say that's ma'rifah. Salawat. How many do we have? How many do we have any more? Sheikh Mahdi, do we have any more? Okay, ikbas. What was, we had a hadith that compared looking at haram things to something. What was it comparing it to? Green shawl. No, this one. He had his hand up, yeah? Oh, his brother, okay. Oh, wait, you raised your hand for your brother? That doesn't count. Oh, what was the question again? No, that's not the answer. You already said, so let me see him. Yeah. I compared it to billboards, but I want to see what the hadith compared it to. Yeah, you're older, so I'm not going to pick on you. Yes. Oh, this is, yeah, you guys tried. Yes, you. Looking at it again, we talked about that, but I'm looking for what the hadith compared looking at it again to. The green right there. This, yes, you. Huh? Yeah, yeah, you.
Compared it to like if you looked at it the first time, it was a warning. But if you looked at it on purpose, it would be like you meant to.
Close, that's it, but not enough. Oh, okay. Sheikh Mahdi, did you choose somebody? Because it got hard for me. It compares it to an arrow that shaitan has. That's what I was looking for. A poisoned arrow that he shoots at you. Recite salawat.
Brothers and sisters, if you would like to stay seated, we will be serving niyaz soon. For the elders, there is a special room set up for you. Allahu salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And Amal will be followed shortly after niyaz.